Oh, there's Yvonne.
Yvonne, yay.
Speaking of the devil.
I apologize, guys. I actually had to see the tennis. I don't know if you know, but I'm the greatest fan, and Novak Djokovic just won and became the best of all history. So I'm happy.
Oh, I think I know some. My brother was probably looking at the same thing that
He just finished, yes. So he just broke all the records ever.
Wow. Amazing. And Yvonne, I assume you know Steve.
Yes, I know Steve. Hi, Steve.
Good.
Hello, good morning. Good
All right,
afternoon.
so it's 1:05. I think we should, and we have critical mass, lovely critical mass. So I think we'll get started. I just wanted to, I'm going to say this, I hope I don't sound too bitchy or anything, but I wanted to just preface the meeting that I want to thank all of you, first of all, for being so dedicated to show up on Sunday afternoons for these meetings. But to give everyone as close to equal time to comment based on the restraints of time assigned to items on the agenda, and I'll go through those again after this. As chair, I'll occasionally skip over a person. I don't want anyone to take that personally. Okay, but just to make sure that we have a balance, especially I'm very cognizant of who's like council member, non-council member, and I especially want to be sure that non-council members have a chance to speak since we don't have the same forum as you do at the council. So I just wanted to preference everything with the idea of fairness. And today we're going to hear from Elaine first, and there's been a council meeting since our last meeting, so we'll have a report there. Then we're going to look at the organizational responsibilities that Lee and Yvonne have helped put together, and Monica had some additions to that you'll see today. I assigned 40 minutes to that. That I would hope that by the end of those 40 minutes is ready to move on, because we've already spent quite some time, and then Lee spent some time reformatting it so that it's easier for us to then submit. Then there's a discussion on the process for preparation of the bulletin. And I talked to Lynn, who can't be here, but she talked to Pim, and they definitely want us, this committee, to work on the bulletin, like who's editor, who's reading, who's submitting, and she's willing to work on a subcommittee. So that was helpful news. I assigned about 20 minutes to that, so we can have some discussion and then put a committee together for that. And then any further pending modifications on the articles, we have a list of those. We'll put about 15 minutes. Hopefully those will be settled and we can move them on. And we can have some conversation about our next meeting. So any questions before we get started? We'll ask Elaine to begin. We're good? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Yep. Well, we met as a council on Wednesday morning, my time, 6 a.m. Everybody else was 2 p.m., I think, or everybody here was 2 p.m. But I like it at 6 a.m. I have to tell you. And we spent quite a bit of time looking over and for, I don't know how many times we've done this now, to review the budgets. But we finally approved the 2023 and 2024 budgets, and they will be in the bulletin that is being prepared right now. Ben is working on that. There still are issues with the budget, and we certainly are not in control of how the staff money is spent. Monica proposed at the beginning of the meeting that we have the executive committee absorbed into the council so that the council would be made. And I think this will be important for our discussion on the division of responsibilities as we get to the organizational discussion here. But that was soundly turned, not voted upon. And I forced the issue for discussion later before we finished the meeting, and we still didn't get a vote on it. So it's doubly important that we address who does what. And I think when we have our discussion today on those duties, we need to start putting internal rule numbers to them, so that from the kind of ambiguous terms that are in the articles, we can refer to the internal rules that we would like to put forward here. Those internal rules are then approved by the council, not by the general membership. So that will kind of help us not to have the entire membership vote on all of this. And I don't know if we add a note to say refer to, if that's a change to the article that has to be approved, or if that internal rule can be inserted. That's something that we can try to push for. I'll be emailing the North American members soon, because we still want those who have not made their payments, their membership payments, to make them. I'm hoping that they will continue to have some faith in the new council, as frustrated as we are sometimes, but I'm hopeful that we can maybe move forward. Let's see, there were 123 new member applicants, 11 affiliate, which I think is good, because we have only, and we didn't get a breakdown on the countries that those are in, but I know Sophie asked all of us council members to give names and emails for potential affiliate members in our regions. And I did that. So I'm hoping that some of those are American, but I hope that there are more all over the world. And 112 individual members applying. Something that will be looked at is the proposed increase of fees for 2024. And the way it ended was one proposal that the finance committee commission put together is based on the gross domestic product. And that puts, China's gross domestic product is very low, and it doesn't take into consideration the divisions between those who can't pay much and those who can. So it'll be up to the membership to vote on this. And so they'll have a choice, the way I think ended it, correct me, Monica and David, if I'm wrong, that they will have a choice between that gross domestic product, and there's a graph or a chart that details how that shakes out, or going to 198 a year across the board, and continuing with the idea that members who have financial hardship or age issues, then they can request a diminished, which is the way it is right now. I also want to encourage members to get their page up to date, and then to include a link on their websites and their emails to that page. I think that would be really helpful in feeling that maybe there was some kind of benefit. When they got to our contributions to this and wanting some decisions, they did okay the presidential succession article addition, but it was, and Ben made these changes right on screen, and I've asked him to send them to me, but he hasn't yet. But it was broken down into 2 steps. And as soon as I get those from him, I will send them out to our group, so you can see. I think that they're just reasonable. I agreed. Stephanie made some suggestions, and I agreed with her suggestions. So I think that's a positive. Let's see. We addressed the minutes of the Executive Council, which are almost non-existent in our Dropbox. The last council meeting, according to the minutes in the Dropbox, was February of 2022. And I know for certain that the Executive Council was the one that approved the JCU if it was approved, diminished the Judy's proposal for the ceramics world destinations. So those are non-existent. And Ben says that that's basically due to the fact that there wasn't a staff member there. He was not at those meetings. The article on the member of honor was approved. And I'll send that out as well. But then in the rules, there were comments, and it was evident that some of the people who were on the meeting had not reviewed it. So there was one comment that we need time with this. And I said, well, you've had them for 3 weeks. So, you know, so I've been asked to break those down and send them as just member of honor in one, and then member emeritus in the other, so that they can absorb them in smaller bites.
These are people that we elected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And our September council meeting will be a hybrid of those who can make it in person and those of us who, because the council this time will not reimburse us for a portion of our travel and stay. So this time I probably will join virtually instead of not. There will be an election coming up for a new council members for Oceania, which has up until now included South Africa. And that's been broken down. So there will be a member from Oceania elected, one from Africa, and one from South Korea. There's some discussion on how, because right now Egypt is in Shammai's Middle Eastern territory. So I think Egypt will end up going into Africa because it is on that continent, but that will be decided. And otherwise, many of us are still concerned about the budget. Many of us are still concerned about what decisions are made without discussion with the council. And that's why I think our work today is so important.
Just a quick question. Thank you, Elaine, first of all, for putting us up to date on a lot of this. Of course, there's a lot of this we could pick apart, but we do want to get some business done. But just I guess my concern with it being a hybrid meeting, the council meeting, do you feel that that's going to put you at a disadvantage, or put our representation at a disadvantage for you being online as opposed to being there?
Can I speak to that? I think it really will. Sitting for an 8-hour meeting in person is grueling, but online it's unbelievable. And I actually did say that I think I did speak in the meeting and said I felt very strongly that it should be an in-person meeting, because there is also the issue of how you establish contact, friendships that can be diffused much better in person rather than online. And I welcome the fact that, since it's only really since COVID we've had this opportunity to be online. But I really think that I think that we should reconsider that decision, and that we should meet in person if at all possible. But I do, I'm in Europe. I recognize it's incredibly expensive to stay in Switzerland.
It's incredibly expensive to get there, David.
That's the thing. If you met in Spain, it wouldn't, it would be much more doable. I mean, it's crazy,
Yeah.
but that's the situation.
I could fly to Dublin again, probably cheaply, but
anyway, that concerns me, and I'm glad it's not.
I do think that's a concern, and I don't think that's a stupid suggestion. And we could ask to be hosted or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Well,
right.
Yeah, and Sika board moves, or I know we don't want to be in Sika. I'm the same. I feel the same. But and Sika board meets at least once at the location of where the council is supposed to meet. It also gives the council a chance to know their way around and meet the people there. So it seems to me that that would be the case. Now, this is not on the schedule, so I'll take one more comment from Yvonne, and then we're gonna move on to the agenda.
Or perhaps the council can then put a proposal, either we meet all online or all in person.
I'd feel better about that. So,
And then it's flat equal grounds.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
I understand that the 8-hour meeting online will be difficult, but at least it won't be at anybody's disadvantage then.
Yeah,
Right. That's
that's true.
exactly what my feeling was, Yvonne, from the start, when Elaine mentioned that to me, is that puts the people not be able to be there physically at a disadvantage. The only way to be fair would be that either everybody gets some portion of some funding, maybe everybody gets a little less. And then, or they do that. So Lee, I'm going to put you on hold for that so we can get to the review of spreadsheets on organizational responsibilities, and depending on how much time we have at the end, we'll come back to this. Elaine, do you want to share for us?
Sure.
And I want to thank both Lee and Yvonne for all the work that they've put in over a long period of time to get this document to us.
Okay. Hold on here. I have to move you guys over. I don't know why this thing keeps coming up on this computer. I'm on my laptop because my big computer kept shutting down on me.
Did you make that a little
No.
bit bigger, or cover up maybe the rest of your desktop or something, just so it's?
How do I do that?
You could, at the bottom right of the Word documents, it has 100% or 183%.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
switch it over a little bit. And
Oh.
then take
But
the.
how do
cor-
I get
then take
rid
the
of
corner,
this? How do
take
I
the-
get rid of these up here?
Okay, so get out of the whole, just say stop share a sec.
Stop share.
Mm-hmm.
Just drag it.
Just a minute. Now share screen. And you should be able to just share the Word document, not your whole desktop. So look for that. Yes, okay.
Okay, but I still have the titles up
Yeah,
here.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah,
Just,
don't worry about
Little
it.
green button up
Okay.
the left corner.
yeah.
The
Little
green
green
button.
button.
That little
Yes,
green
that's
buttons.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Try that. If it
Full
doesn't,
screen.
well, better.
Better. You can also hit the
Yeah.
home button, hit home, and it'll close it up. Or most of it anyway.
There,
That's
okay.
better, okay?
Okay, that's better.
All right,
Yeah.
now you'll have to probably shut this just a little, make this a little smaller, just so we get the whole thing in. Or we can open it up, I guess, bigger too.
I can make it a little smaller.
Make it a little
Right.
smaller, just so it fits, and we're good then.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
good enough.
Excellent. Yeah,
Okay.
all righty.
So, yeah, these are basically, well, I'm gonna let Lee and Yvonne talk to these, I think.
Okay, I'll go first. So the red represented questions that either Yvonne or I had beyond the text. So, like, should council members be elected by region or at large? I think they used to be at large, I think. Maybe there's a hybrid thing where if the region's too small, it's elected by the council or the full membership. I don't know. I didn't feel that strongly about it, but maybe most of the regions are big enough now that it doesn't matter. And I would propose they'd be elected by the region because they know the people. I don't know anybody in Africa. I don't know anybody. I hardly know anybody in Australia. So we were leaving it up to this commission to decide how we wanted to present this.
Yeah,
At this time, it's regions. But the regions are also
Yeah.
going through some changes. So I don't think we're at a point where we can make any major changes until we see what how the regions pan out. So perhaps we
Okay.
should keep that as is, which is by region. At
Okay.
least until that gets sorted out, and then perhaps we might want to revisit it, Lee, and
Okay,
at that time. But I think for now to make any changes with that, since it's going to end up, you know, there's going to be some regional changes that I think we're wasting our time.
okay.
Yeah.
The election is by regions now?
Yeah, it's been.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh, no,
ev-
that's true.
everybody.
Everybody
they're all
votes on all
regional,
of
yeah.
them.
Yeah, that's what
So
I thought.
we vote for regional people, I guess is what
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah,
So everybody voted to make you our representative, everybody in the world.
yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Mhm.
I just
Now-
have a question, because the document you have on the screen is not the document that was shared. It looks different. And it says the same May 29th. So I read all the documents and I'm pretty,
This is one that's been updated by somebody else who wrote in yellow.
okay. Well,
I
haven't-
just, there's
was
a
not-
suggestions that Monica sent in to me this morning. And I put
okay.
them in there so that they would be called out and you could see what they were instead of putting two different documents up here.
Okay, now, there was a document after this with 3 columns, and I thought that's the one that's the most recent.
No, that's a different,
Different document. Okay, it's clear now.
Okay, Yvonne, yes, it was the most recent. And then it did not jive with the order of the articles in the articles. Because
Yes.
general membership came first. And we
Okay.
asked them to put it into a Word document, or I guess Lee did that so that
Right.
it would be easier to
we
read.
need to move on.
But okay,
okay.
but one thing I'd like to say is that currently the council approves changes to the makeup. So you're proposing that as a change.
Yes,
Okay,
this is not, although we've changed the format and gotten a little more input, this isn't any different than what we had in basically January. So
Yeah.
come on,
right.
folks, let's
Right,
move
that's
on.
No, I
format,
understand.
yeah.
I understand.
Okay,
Okay,
So I think we all agree that we're going to kind of leave it as is for now until all the regional kind of changes are made and then revisit it at some future time, correct?
okay. I have to say, and I'm going to stick it in because I'm reporting this out. There has been nothing happening on the regional thing, as far as I know. Stephanie has disappeared into the woodwork, and she
Yeah.
won't respond to emails. It's just very frustrating. I don't know what she's doing, if she's doing anything.
I don't know the status of that either. I have
I think it would be
mentioned
good to bring up in the next meeting. Where is this?
that. Okay, will
You know,
do.
by the next meeting, I mean your council meeting.
Yes,
Good idea.
okay, I'm making a note to do that.
Great. So we'll leave that part as is for now.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd like to, though, hear a little input as to the change to the council makeup, moving to the members doing it.
well, the reason was for that was when you start splitting regions up, it's not the council's responsibility. I'm sorry. It seems to me they have I'm not being clear. If we decided to divide Africa into 2 regions, for example, or the United States into a West and an East region, it seems to me that the council would have some say in that, because these are the council members. Yet I didn't want to have it go all the way. You know, I didn't want the executive to do it. I didn't think the council should do it, but they should approve it. I mean, the members should approve it, sorry.
Monica?
Yeah, we had a discussion about that because the idea which was presented by Stephanie was really in the last council already under discussion, because Ilona Romule at that time always said it's a no-go that Japan, China, Korea, the Philippines, and whatever is in Far East is working together under one representative person. So, and this is the idea of Stephanie is going alongside the UNESCO dividing the world in different areas. And she's always saying UNESCO, UNESCO, UNESCO. And I'm personally think we started to be more or less a Geneva founded group, and we are expanding, and we have to respect countries with no representative person in the council. But we should do that carefully, but not we, the council, or even the executives cannot do that. It's a membership.
And there is
But-
another commission doing this. So what I'd like to
Yeah,
do is
okay.
for us to go
But
back
no
now.
new-
I'm
and-
sorry, I'm sorry, I have to step in here because I'm on that commission and
But
Stephanie.
that's not, this is
I'm
not. a meeting of that
sorry, I
commission.
have to say something because it impacts this. Stephanie is not doing anything. And if she is coming to the council or to the executive and representing things, it doesn't represent the commission. It's Stephanie's absolute autocratic opinion. And you can hear the emotion in my voice. So Monica and Elaine, I think you need to be vigilant about what Stephanie's doing because I don't trust her.
Okay,
Yes,
but we're
that-
taking time out of our commission and what we're looking at right now. So David, if it's not related to this,
I
beyond
fully agree. I
council
fully
membership,
agree.
council membership, we're gonna move on. David?
I think Lee has a very valid point.
Yeah.
And it
I do
actually-
too. I'm just trying to sort that out to try to get through this
And I
document.
understand why you want to quickly move on with this meeting, but actually it is a fundamental issue. There's also another suggestion that Janet DeBose has made, and certainly I have discussed it extensively with her. And she's suggesting making a completely different adjustment, which is longitudinal, so that you actually look at areas that are in the same time zone. And it's really very interesting,
Wow.
but it may not be workable.
Okay, so I
Okay.
think that is interesting. I think the
And
rest of the
can
council's
I
been
just make-
charged.
It's just
can I
outside of this commission. That's, I
Yes,
think,
so that's where I'm
Anna's
trying to
point.
focus
It-
on
it is
this. My
outside of it.
point is.
Can I
to try
just
to get
ask
through
about this?
today.
Can I ask about this form? And as an English professor, I just want to ask about what these headings are, because the first one was elect. I forgot what it was. Elect. Does it mean about? Is it issues concerning the election of council members? Is that what you're trying to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
Outline of
Outline of
responsibilities.
Yeah. So the responsibilities are to elect. So then we need it. So the responsibilities of the IAC group is to elect council members. And, so this thing about, so it's within the region. You're saying it should be voting within a region or within the whole membership. I just think,
That's
What it
I
says.
think-
That's what it says.
No, it doesn't say it. To me, it doesn't say that with as much clarity as I'd like it said. That's all.
I would like to see if this is okay with everybody for us to take what's already there that discusses how we elect council members and put that in for now until there's some sorting out by the commission that is in charge of that. And then once they make their decision is that we make sure we note and revisit this in relationship to that. But this is what we're discussing now is out of the purview of our council. So I'd like us to move on. Lee?
Yes, okay. All right, so move down. Elaine,
She's getting there. Patience.
okay.
Okay, the yellow comments are Monica's.
I don't know what it means.
So Monica, would you clarify?
Monica?
I think she might be frozen. She's been
Yeah,
fluttering in and
it's
out.
written-
We can't hear you, Monica. I'm sorry.
Connection.
You're garbled.
Okay, well, let me speak then. Actually, I have another proposal that has been tabled for months now, where I'm suggesting that the terms of the council be actually shorter and you can be reelected once after that. And then there has to be a gap and you could be elected later. So in other words, I forget what it is because I don't have it in front of me. But the terms of the council member, instead of being 6 years, Yvonne and I dropped it back to 5, but then subsequently I suggested maybe we have something like 3 or 4 years and then you can re-up again. But then you can't re-up again. So in other words, we don't wind up with people who are council members for life.
You're talking term limits then.
Term limits, yes. That's what it says, terms of council, 5 years, then out. But
I
I'm
think we
saying
could call
there's
that term limits instead of an out. But
Right,
that's
right,
yeah.
well, sure. We can modify this, but as I said, there's a second document where I think we allow for so I'm making this up. Elaine gets elected to the council. She then decides she wants to run again. She runs again. But then if she wants to run a third time in a row, no, you're not eligible. But she could come back at another time later and run. So that Elaine is not basically a lifetime council member, excuse me for saying that, but
The Article 7A says they are eligible to be reelected for an additional 2 years. So basically you're dividing that in half or saying
I'm-
4 years and then another 4, which ends
4.
up to be the same number. But
Right.
yeah,
I'd like to hear from Steve. Can't hear you, Steve. Steve, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh.
I like the idea of 3 and then another 3, because that would mean that if somebody did not uphold their responsibilities, we wouldn't be stuck with them for a full 6
True.
years. And so if they then re-up, great. And then, yeah, if they take time off and come back, I think that seems like a really reasonable way to do this.
Okay, Monica and then David.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is it better? Okay, I filled in these terms of presidency coming in and going out because I agree fully with Lee. The timing of or the time of a presidency or vice presidency or being on the council for me is too long. I think the experience of the last years showed clearly that an organization in a modern democratic structure needs more change. So I will not say again, because Elaine warned me, don't say NCCAT too often, but I think coming in, working as president or vice president and going out and having only maybe 2 years or 3 years is the best. So we have a change and we can fulfill the duties and the demands of an upcoming situation. And all the stress in the last years, 2 years, we had because we had a council and an emeritus and it was always the same and we are fighting always against the same structures. And this is really so frustrating and it's blocking any kind of inspiring energy.
I think we all feel that, Monica. So
yeah,
I'm going to move on to David real quick here. I'm trying to keep this moving. We don't have many more minutes to spend on.
The suggestion
I
about
said, wait a minute, David, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
the suggestion about the double presidency is excellent. I've discussed this with a number of colleagues, and people don't want to be president because it's so onerous a task as a volunteer.
Mhm.
So actually a 6-month, if you did a 6-month and a 6-month alternating and then just sort of looked in, I think that would be a very, very successful way to do it. If I can just speak quickly about the other one, I think Steve's suggestion of 3 years plus 3 years is excellent.
I do too.
I just in retrospect, I stood for an extra 2 years in order that we could get some of these governance subcommittees moving properly. Monica and I have been extraordinarily frustrated by what's been happening on the council. And I think now we're seeing changes. And I think what Lee is beginning to understand is some of the brick walling that has occurred with certain members of the former executive. And now Monica is in there, I'm speaking for her, but my feeling is that you're finding it very, very difficult to get your voice heard above the incumbent people who are holding out against you.
Okay, so Yvonne, and then we're going to go back to Lee.
I'm going to be very, very quick. I fully support everything that's been said here. The only thing we need to decide is how many, because there are years. 3 plus 3, is that a proposal? If that is, I will second it.
Yes,
Right.
Because everybody else was mentioning different dates. We had 5, 5, then 4, 4, now we're to 3, 3. Monica said 2, 2. What are we gonna go for?
3.
3.
I'm recommending 3-3. I've thought
Yeah, I
about this
second, I
quite a bit.
second your 3-3.
And,
Okay.
and
I put-
one more idea I had that we don't need to discuss now, but it could be that every 3 years, half of the council comes up for reelection.
That's another good staggered. So we could put
Yeah.
word staggered would be, and we could work out that later on as,
Yeah.
you know. to
Okay, let's move
But,
on.
Whatever.
So, can I just say one thing?
You
It
can.
adds cost, and we ought to be able to quantify how much does an election to council cost. These are the bits of information that we really need from the office, and we should perhaps request that from this committee.
Just can I throw
move
in
on?
one word? It's
I
quite.
guess Lee, hold on, Monica, Lee, it goes back to Lee and then,
Okay.
then when we take a break. Okay, Lee? Did
Okay,
you
well, I
finish
think
what
we
you
need
had
to
to
move
say?
on. I think we need to move on or we're never gonna
Right.
get to the bottom.
Exactly.
But
And as I said at the beginning of the meeting, I am going to even, just don't take it as offense, council members, but I want to hear from as many of our non-council members that can participate today to make sure that we have some balance, because you have opportunity to discuss these sorts of things in a broader and more often than we do as executive people. All
Okay,
right, so are you
Shall I
ready to
move on?
move on then? Yeah.
Well, I'm
Um,
trying to clarify some of these thoughts that have been put in and put them
Okay.
into. So what we're suggesting is that potentially this could be changed to read that executives composed of the president, blah, blah, blah. Potentially changed to read that it is to read 2 presidents.
yeah. While you're typing, I think 2 presidents just takes the responsibility into a weird direction.
I don't want, I think any kind of a co-chair, co-president, anything is disastrous. I've seen it over and over again in my career. I don't, as much as I would hope that we would be gender considerate, I don't think we should impose gender because sometimes you don't get
Right,
the people that should be doing this. So I think a co-chair, I'd have to vote against it. Because too many of those I've seen fail.
So you don't want it to read, so you're saying not 2 presidents.
Not 2 presidents, no double presidency and no
Right.
gender consideration.
right. I agree. I agree.
Anybody else?
So, no, I don't. I think I've seen very good organizational improvements coming from co-chairs, co-presidents.
Yeah,
I've
but
seen
this
the
is not, this is not something where we're seeing each other on a regular basis or
Right.
working person to person. This is going to confuse I think also confuse the membership about who's in
Yeah.
charge and so forth.
And it's already confusing. I
Yes.
just think it would add to
Right.
that confusion.
I think it's an interesting idea, but I don't think we should do that.
Also, I think we should take this in somewhat stages. I know I'm being conservative, but let's face it, this is a very conservative European staid sort of organization from Geneva, Switzerland, that we make changes, but maybe make them incrementally. So if we see that there's an opportunity to have a co-chair or a co-president at some point, then maybe we do that at a later date. But for now, it would keep it to the single one.
Okay,
Steve,
let's move down. Let's
Steve,
move
hold
on.
on, Steve, and then we're going to go back to Lee.
So, and I apologize if this is done and I just haven't seen it, but I suspect that if you were to make sure that the tasks that needed to be done were divided by the president, the vice president, or the vice presidents. In other words, make sure that the people that are coming in know that these are the 3 things that you have to do. It would take some of the onus off of the president, so it wouldn't be so daunting.
No,
Mhm.
I agree with that to a point, but we have 3 vice presidents. So, but the big problem is we don't have like a staffing chart that says this vice president does this vice president does this vice president does this, and this president, because then just adding one more president isn't going to help that situation.
Well,
So,
that's what I'm
yes,
suggesting.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
is
so-
that each person has, when
Duties.
you're running for this particular vice presidency, these are the 3 things that you're going to be in charge of.
So
Okay,
that's something to clarify later on. Okay, we're going to
Yeah,
put Lee
that's-
back on to move us along. So
Yeah,
we're gonna
okay.
move off of this and keep going down.
Okay. And again, I don't think we have to have a lot of discussion about some of these things. I was saying call meetings at least 4 times a year. I was just trying to make it more prescriptive without making it onerous. And they're meeting more often than that anyway, but I just threw that in there. Down below, propose and vote on changes in the internal rules. And I think, Eileen, you already mentioned this. We really don't want to have to take the internal rules back to the General Assembly unless there's a huge disagreement in the council.
Who's
You gotta
Eileen?
function.
You mean Elaine?
Elaine, I'm sorry. Who did I say?
Eileen.
Eileen, oh,
And
sorry.
I'm
yeah,
Aileen, but
So I'm just mentioning that. I don't really think we should get hung up on it. Recommend changes to council makeup. This relates to above. You know,
Right, so we don't need to visit that again. Okay.
okay.
keep
And
going.
then I had, again, some of this is because of things are interlocking and it's been months since we've talked about it. The vice presidents ought to rotate among council members. And I would just take that off, the red stuff there. Just have it VP's treasurer, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it was whether or not they should be elected by, I'm sorry, whether they should be elected by the membership or they should be elected by the council.
Right now,
Oh.
they're elected by the membership, and I'd
That's-
like to keep it that way. And
Yeah.
then I think if we're
Okay.
going to make any kind of rotation, that this is again my personal, if we're changing this to a 3-year kind of rotation, then if they're rotated, it should be
Yeah.
based on the.
I
3
agree. I agree.
So-
Why don't we just take that all off?
this
Just need
is, this,
The,
Elect VP's treasurer, yeah.
Yeah.
Proposed change. Is everybody okay? All right,
well, it takes it, they don't elect the VP and treasurer now, right?
right.
So we
That's-
should delete this.
We just delete the whole thing. That's
Yeah,
true.
but,
Thank you.
Okay.
wait a second, stop, Elaine. Just mark it that we're going to delete this as opposed, that way we can figure out what we've done here.
That's a
Because
good
it's
point.
disappearing.
okay.
Make it in red or something.
Yeah.
Well,
that-
okay, I have to go back to my things here to do that. Oops.
Okay. Cool.
Let's
On
move
to
on.
the next session. We're gaining.
Okay. You can read it there. I was just making a comment. It also means, I think this was Ivan's idea too. Yvonne, sorry, did I say it wrong? Deactivating committees so that they disappear when they're fulfilled their roles like us.
So
Let's-
you would suggest recommend forming and dissolving, and do we
Yes.
call these commissions or committees?
Committees,
Aren't they commissions right now?
or whatever they're called.
Committees are more ad hoc.
Okay,
And so are you suggesting that commissions should be ad hoc, not standing?
I think there are some that are standing, like maybe a finance committee or I don't know. But some we need to be sure they go away and they don't just wind up being
I think, yeah, we need to
inactive
be,
without any activity.
then we need to be more specific about which ones or how that is.
Mhm.
Okay,
These could be that we add ad hoc committees.
forming ad hoc committees. What's the difference between an ad hoc committee and a committee?
Well, in America, we don't call them commissions. If we have a committee, it's usually a permanent committee.
Okay,
If an ad hoc committee is for a specific task,
okay. Ad hoc.
so ad hoc.
So just put ad hoc, then you can get rid of the rest, or leave it for now and get rid of the rest. Okay.
Yeah, we should have a committee for social media or something like that, and that should
Right.
be
And that
working
might
all
be-
the time.
Short term, right, Monica? Would be kind of a short term thing then.
So then we're saying we delete this.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the other thing to think about is if you form a committee and it sticks around, do the members remain forever? Because then they're in charge forever.
that's, again,
Mhm.
that's something that is an individual case, it's like,
Okay,
I
So
think
when
once we
the
say ad
committee-
hoc, it could be, as short as a week.
Right.
yeah,
Like, figure this out and let us know, or it could be much longer. So if we say ad hoc, I think that gives us a lot of flexibility.
okay.
Okay.
yeah.
And then the next one, again, was, I think, Ivan's idea. We don't need people to chair the committee who are council members, but at least a council member should be on a committee.
Yes, and that's the way it is right now because Anna chairs this commission.
Okay, so
and
let's take
I
that,
just am the,
let's take that whole red note out.
okay.
Great.
Okay.
The next thing I think was approve council meeting proposals, including theme, broad schedule and budget. This was to avoid the executive committee deciding things and the council not knowing what's going on.
Okay, so
It's a proposed change,
Yeah, that's
Okay.
great.
right?
That's a
Sounds
good one.
really
Yeah,
good.
I think we all feel strongly about that.
Yeah, and the line that says the council continued was because I had a page break there, so
okay,
it
yeah,
doesn't matter. Much more importantly is, take that whole line out. Much more importantly is down in the notes here. Like, what constitutes approval? Is it a quorum of the people present? Is it the full council? Majority of the quorum, majority of the full council? Is it a rule of 50+1? Or is there some number above 50% that's required? I didn't see it anywhere in the notes. Maybe Elaine, you know better than anybody.
generally, I believe it's a simple majority, which is 50% plus one,
And is that of the people who are attending the meeting?
who are present to vote.
And is there a quorum?
That I
Yeah,
don't know. David, do you know, or Monica in the
yeah,
past, is there?
when it's 50-50, the president has the last words to vote.
Right, but is
No,
there
no,
a
no.
designated
No,
quorum? What
I don't-
percentage of the council can make a
If
If
decision?
only 5 people show up, what happens?
No, we tried to do that and they told us, we tried to vote on an issue, I don't remember what. When the people against it, which we know, we're not on the council meeting anymore, like Stephanie or so. And then it was said, no, we are not enough people, so we have not the majority, we cannot get the majority, so we cannot vote now, we have to postpone. That was.
Well,
crazy.
that's why we want to have a
That's
quorum.
why, yeah, we need a quorum for sure.
It just needs to be written that there needs to be
Yeah,
a quorum, and what that quorum is.
Yeah,
But at the moment, it's just decided arbitrarily by the executive.
we
Right.
can't even
Typically-
really get people to make motions, so,
Yeah.
you know.
So the majority of, so a quorum typically is a majority plus 1, too, isn't it, as well?
Yes,
Yeah, so why
well,
don't
no,
we
a quorum
No.
is designated, it might be
80%?
3/4 of the board, or, you
Okay.
know, of the members. It
2/3 or
has to
something
be
like that.
2/3 or something, yeah.
Okay, so
we
should we
need-
decide on that and put it in there?
Yes, we should.
2/3.
2/3.
All right.
That
we
no
want
vote
just
can take
2/3
place, so,
Unless there's a quorum. of
Unless there's a
2/3
quorum,
of the
which-
members of the
Which
council.
consists of 2/3 of the committee.
So a vote can
council.
take place if 2/3 of the council members are there.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
okay,
Steve, last thing on this?
a vote.
Sorry, my wife is vacuuming. But I really would like to say this. So how many people are we talking about if it's 2/3? In other words, if it was 9 people and it was 6 of 9 had to be there, I don't know that that's enough.
Well, in the current council, there's like 16, is that right, Elaine, or 18?
15 or
No,
15, yeah, 15.
15, yeah.
Okay, so you have to have at least 9, 10 people there.
Yeah, and I don't think 10 people is enough. I would make it a much higher number.
How
How
about
many people-
3/4?
How many people typically show up to one of these council meetings? Would you guess?
Most, I mean, we have, what, we only had one missing, the
Okay,
last one,
so let's move it
And-
up to 75%.
okay.
Try that out.
Quorum
Yvonne,
is,
last word on the quorum?
Yeah, I agree with 75%. It's a thin line here, and the council members know this. And the thin line is, if you don't have enough people participating in the meetings, no decisions are going to be made. So it has to be really like 10 is enough, according to me, with 15. But everybody has to agree. Let's say that you have a meeting after meeting after meeting, only 9 people, then nothing gets decided, just some people boycott meetings. So upping that number is tricky, Steve. I think 75 should be minimum, but I agree with your points.
Okay. And then the decision has to be a majority plus 1. I mean, 50% plus 1, right?
That's what it is now. Steve?
Okay. Right, okay.
I might also suggest that we don't allow that to happen either. It's somewhere in here, it needs to be, if you miss so many meetings, thanks for
Yeah,
coming, but you're done.
I think
Um,
did we discuss that already or have we?
Yeah.
We've discussed that at some point. So, but let's
Right, we
check
did.
on it, Elaine. You and I could look over what we've had, and if not, we could add something to that effect. Because I know we've
Yeah.
had this conversation. I feel just as strongly as you do, Steve. If you miss without any good reason, then, you know, we need to have you move on. So,
Right.
okay.
I
so
think
we're
that's
on-
in our
it's
next topic.
something. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
in our next topic.
And
Yeah, I
usually
think-
it's,
But
usually
people
you give people 2
Keep
or 3.
scrolling.
Yeah. Okay, then
Could I
down,
just-
who approves Congress lectures? And
Sorry, can I just talk to council meetings one last time? I think there should be something in there to say that they should just be mandated 4 meetings a year, as you've written. And because at the moment, we really find it, Monica's found it almost impossible to call a council meeting. I found it impossible to call a council meeting. Who calls them? It's only the president who has been able to do this.
So
So-
we need to put in here that the council.
Yes,
that,
and
and maybe
I add
here.
to this question of David, I will add when we are talking about the quorum, the 50% plus 1, is it really so that we allow the president to do that? So because the president actually is doing a really dominating situation. He's really pushing us and saying, no, unbalanced budget is not possible also. But I will say 50% plus 1, and it's not the one vote from the president.
The president should just be in
In
case of
our-
a tie.
In articles, it is written, if there is a balance, 50% to 50%, the president is giving the last switch
Right.
to this or the other side. So
Right.
will we let this power by the president, or is it by anyone in the council who is switching his or her mind and vote in another way?
Monica, where is it stated in the articles?
I'm not sure. But
Okay,
it-
would you look
it-
that up
it-
and let me know, because
Yeah.
I've not seen that. I
Okay.
just added here, call meetings, not call, hold
By
meetings,
vice president, by any vice president. This is
Whoops.
good. So
hold meetings at least
Really?
4 times per year. A council meeting can be called by any vice president.
or maybe it can be added to that, or by at least 4 members of the council.
Okay,
yes,
So one person can't call a lot of meetings and be a nuisance.
Yeah,
right.
that's very good.
I like that. Sounds good. All right,
democratic
let's move
and
on.
fair.
Let's
Okay,
move on.
moving on.
Well,
I think we already talked about propose and vote on changes to internal rules.
we need to further down, Elaine, if you could.
I know.
Oh, I
Okay.
see. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were still typing. I'm sorry.
I just think we have to put the president
Yeah,
in there too.
okay,
To
that's
call,
fine.
okay.
Okay,
Now, where
right.
are you?
Keep going. keep
Propose and
going.
vote on changes to the internal rules, and I
Okay.
think
Further
they-
down.
they should do that. The council should
Oh,
do that.
I thought we were further down. Now we're
We-
back again.
Yeah,
All right.
And
Just
we
so
do.
know, our time is going to be up on this unless
Okay,
we.
well, let's
we
move on.
stop- Yeah.
Recommended.
Okay.
Something else.
okay, I'm gonna delete this because they are,
Okay.
we already do, the council does vote on changes
do
to
that.
internal
Okay,
rules, yeah.
Okay,
All right, keep
recommend
going,
changes to
keep
the
going.
council makeup. This says,
We've already, we're going over this again. Keep going, Elaine.
No,
Keep
I
going.
know,
Okay.
but then we recommend that this be deleted. right?
I don't know. Okay,
At
yeah,
this point, yes.
Because
we're
you
gonna
agreed- you
revisit it
agreed
when
that-
Right.
necessary.
Go
Yeah,
down
It should
further,
be
okay.
the general
right.
membership.
Yep,
Going,
yep.
keep
Keep
going.
going down, 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 down,
Going,
down.
keep going. All right, keep
All right.
going. Executive committee, we should be on right now.
Okay, right.
Okay,
This is the last one, I think, right? Or the staff is the last one. Okay, we
Yes,
talked
and-
about 2 vice presidents. And we talked about not having somebody called a general manager. It's too expensive. It's just an office manager or a supervisor or something.
Yeah, but Lee, can I say, right now we have part-time workers in the office. And
So-
if there would be one person responsible for, to overlook all the work, the bulletins, the budget and the numbers, and also if the minutes and informations are coming in properly and. So
Yeah,
this-
yeah,
this would be
yeah.
Okay,
really,
so,
really
so,
great.
all right,
Which is-
so what I'm going to say is, first of all, this is dealing more with staff than it is with the executive committee, which is where we're at right now.
Mhm.
Can I suggest that we move this down to the staff? And there's no reason why, since we have all these part-time people, that 2 of those part-time positions become 1 and the general manager, but we're in the wrong place at the wrong time right now. So
Right.
let's keep going with executive and hold on to that thought for further down. I'm also going to suggest, I had put 20 minutes together for a discussion on the process for the preparation of the bulletin. That needs a committee. Lynn is willing to take it on. And so before the end of the meeting, I'm just going to ask for 1 or 2 of you that would like to work with her, and we will cover that at the next meeting to give us more time to finish this up. Does that sound okay with
Yeah.
everybody? And Lee, would you take your hand up, down, so I'm not
down.
confused all the
Sorry.
time?
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, good.
okay. Where
Yeah,
are we
sure.
now?
Let's see.
We're there.
So,
Perfect.
I think that's maybe a good idea. It says also for any
I put in
information
the
anytime.
yellow
Sure.
line.
Yeah, sure. It's just,
Review budget annually, forward to council.
Because they gave us hard times to get the information about the budget, and we had to talk so long for that. And it has to be a right for any council member to see the numbers.
It needs to be on a shared file that the
Yes.
Yep.
entire council has access, period. I mean, there's
And
no.
you can
argument.
write down, it's confidential, you don't have to spread it.
It's a
to
shared
the
file
world.
only for the council, executive.
yeah,
town
yeah.
council. Okay.
And I just said 250 Swiss francs, this is nothing, because when I think about pizza in Switzerland or red wine, 500, just a higher number. So 250, this is nothing.
That sounds good to me. We can keep going.
okay. Let's keep going.
Okay,
Make
You
it
know.
make it 500.
okay.
Okay. Okay, then this was a note. Should all requests be brought to a regional council representative first so that they can be aware of the details, and they should carry the request to the executive committee along with their take on each individual request. Oh, this had to do with
Dues reductions.
dues. Yeah, right.
Those are currently being approved by the executive council,
Yeah,
not the council. So,
okay.
I think it would be good if it goes to the regional representative because they know their membership, they know their
Right.
situation better, and they can
they should-
vouch for them whether or not it's truthful. I think that makes perfect sense. I don't know how you guys feel about it. It's not to limit anybody's power. It's just to
That's correct.
share the information better. That's all.
Yep.
okay, I'm going to put something in here.
Okay. Yeah, that looks
Yep.
good. I like that.
hmm
Okay.
Great.
Moving down. And
Farther.
no, there we go. I had said the president approved the membership newsletters and emails to memberships.
we're gonna wait on that because we're gonna
Okay.
set up,
Sure.
Lynn said she'd be willing to take that on regarding the bulletin, and I'll ask if anybody would like to work with her on that at the end of the meeting.
Okay,
So let's not do anything at the moment and give us time to really sort this. But to me, this is a really important thing. That's the face of the organization.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. right.
And we have got to pay much more attention to this. It can't be used as a bully pulpit. And I mean bully, because that's what we got last time.
Okay.
That's it.
Correct.
okay.
I don't think the council needs to hire, I was not recommending that the council hire staff. We were suggesting that the executive committee do it. It's not the president, it's not one person, it's the executive committee. I was again, just thinking about how, you guys are the ones who are dealing with the executive committee and previous members of it and the frustration, but to take so many things down to the council level for approval. I mean, you only meet every other couple months, and here we say have a staff member who leaves and we find a good candidate. If we can't trust the executive committee to hire the staff, I mean, we're seriously asking, do we really have a good executive committee?
I don't
Ah.
have an ability to raise my hand while I'm sharing, so I'm just going to jump in here.
Please.
What has happened I said earlier, in the past year, the only minutes that are available from the executive ended in February of 2022. And yet we hired a 12-hour-a-week legal consultant.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And the council had no say about it.
We didn't even know that it was going to happen.
No.
No.
And then that person was hired. And now we're stuck with her, basically.
Yes, because in Switzerland, Lynn let me know, and then I'm going to ask Yvonne and then Monica. She let me know that once you hire somebody in Switzerland,
it's hard.
it is harder than getting rid of a tenured professor. Yvonne?
It takes 3 months notice. From what I understand.
I'm muted, sorry about that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought
What has
so.
happened here is that we had a change since September, since that the executive committee was smaller. Remember, the organization was not in sync with its own rules. We had only one
This
vice
meeting
president.
is being recorded.
Now we have Monica who is there, and I would say that the executives need to approve staff together by majority. So now you have a president, 3 vice presidents, and whoever is in charge of financing. I
This
think
meeting is being recorded.
5 people can vote, and basically if they're in majority, then decide rather than move that to the council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Else on that?
correct.
Monica has her hand up. Hold on. She's had her hand up for a while.
Yeah, just basically, Ivan, you are right. We should the executive committee should be power enough to hire new staff members. But in that situation, it was like that. The budget was not balanced. Even in that situation, they did not look to solve the financial problems. They
We lost you.
Lost you,
Charlene,
Monica.
who did this job for a long time, would go out, but Charlene did not go out. I think now she's out. So we had not
No.
even to pay one person more, but the other person also. So that was really a disaster. And so we had a real financial gap over, in this situation. So the executives at that time, they did that with open eyes, but with no brain, I'm sorry to say. And so therefore, I think if they have a new candidate, someone stepping out or going short time or in baby situation or whatever, they should inform the council to have another control. They can decide which person they want or what qualifications they need, but they have to inform the council just to have a last step of controlling. So otherwise you end up in a situation like that.
Okay.
Well, in these plans here, if I can speak up, it says anything over 500 euros must be approved by the council, and it says
Yeah.
contracts.
Yeah, okay.
So that would cover that.
And that's not necessarily because that's assumed to be like expendables or things that are purchased or that kind of
Well, it
thing.
says contracts.
Okay,
Oh, okay. Well, then that covers it. All right.
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Good solution.
All right. So we'll just make sure that that's part of it. Okay,
So this needs to be approved. So we're going to say that this was yes, right?
You can
Yes.
now take off the yellow.
Okay,
actually, we can get some of that later too. Elaine and
Yeah.
I usually go through all
I'm
this stuff
just
for the
making
meeting.
notes for myself here.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay,
All right, let's take care of the staff.
Okay,
You have about 10 minutes.
all right. So we talked about contracts and moving it up to 500.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Manage the website and the social networks. We can put that off, but as I had said, somebody needed to identify, we need to know who's going to do that. And it says staff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Early on when this committee, I circulated an organization chart that
Mhm.
put website and social network under Sophie, I believe.
Mhm.
Maybe it's social, maybe it's just social networks. I'd have to look and see.
Well, let's
Well, yeah,
let's take
but-
a closer look on that, Elaine, to make sure that the website's part of that as
Okay.
well. And then yeah, so that I think we need to once this is through, we need to work on a staffing chart, and perhaps we need to say something about requiring an organizational chart
Mhm.
that's kept up
Mhm.
to date. And it should be
Yeah.
on the website, so that if I, as a member, want to know who to speak to in the office, that
Right.
might do my question, perhaps membership or the conference or something else, I'll know who to ask for.
Yeah. And then the last note was, I do think, I don't know that we've done this, or maybe you have, Elaine, but I think we ought to ask the staff what they think. I mean, does this, particularly
Yeah.
this particular section, what else do you do that we don't recognize, or what is on here that you don't recognize?
Yeah,
And as a preface or a corollary to that, maybe when we get a little further along, they ought to look at this whole thing and see if they have any comments. You are
Right.
sharing it, you will be sharing
Yeah.
it with the council, so why not share it with the staff? And if they have
Yeah.
any heartburn, they can let us know.
yeah.
Now, do we ask the staff to publish, or do we ask them to, is that the best word for this? Because the publisher should probably be somebody like on the council, though, don't you think?
Here, is this what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
Published membership?
I
Okay,
think, I'm sorry, I didn't say approve, I said publish.
Right, but I'm just saying that publishing means that you have final say as to what goes on. Should that be a staff member, or should that be a council member?
well,
I'm sorry, publish means to publish what has been written, and you control the list of the
So,
people.
so maybe we need to add the editorial decisions should be made by the council or the executive, or however and this, remember, we're going to have a whole, subcommittee working on the
Right.
newsletter. So,
Okay.
so maybe we leave this at this point, or we just add a little something about, instead of saying approved by, we say something to the effect that the contents.
I added publish approved membership newsletters and emails. This
Yeah.
would be. a
Oh, okay, that's good.
change.
So that'll take care of it for now, knowing that we're going to be
Yeah,
focusing on this particular topic. We were charged to do that, so we'll do that.
yeah,
We don't have it done yet, so.
Elaine, I'd leave that thing you just erased off, maybe to put it in red,
oh,
because it is an issue. There you go. Just put it in red.
I think the
As a
sending is done by
placeholder.
the office. The
Yeah.
sending of the email and newsletter is sending by the office, because they have all the addresses, they know the system and how to do it properly. And they
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
changed the
that's-
addresses and everything. But
That
we
was my
have to
point.
approve it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Sounds good. All righty. What else on this section here? Got a few more minutes.
I think that's it, right?
Talked about the organizational chart. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we already have a legal advisor, is that correct? Is somebody already on the staff that does?
We
legal?
do, Gabriella,
Do we
what's her-
remove then
who's-
that when
who's-
when appointed? Do we get rid of the when appointed then, since we
Oh.
have one?
Okay.
where are you looking? Oh,
At
we're
the very
quickly
bottom
here.
of the chart. there. Since we already have one.
Yeah.
And I do like Lee's idea of checking with the staff itself to find out what some of their duties are, perhaps asking them each to write a
Yeah.
short job description. Does anybody else feel that might be helpful?
Um,
I
did,
have, a-
to Monica and David, didn't Carolina send something out like that? About who does what? I'll
Mhm.
look and see.
Yes,
Okay.
Shammai asked the office for more information, and then Carolina sent out such things, because Carolina Johansson is the organizer in this teamwork of these part-time office staff members. So she was telling Sophie to do this and that
We lost you, Monica.
under Carolina's.
I think rather
Lee,
than
wait a
ask
minute.
them to spend time doing an additional time saying what they do, by having
Yeah.
them look at what we say they do and comment on it might be more effective.
Yeah.
I don't
well,
think that
and-
we have that much detail in this, and I
and-
don't think we need that much detail.
Well,
Right.
that organization chart I did came from information from Ben as to who was doing what
Right.
at the time. I can compare that to what Carolina said and we'll get something pretty close that we
Okay.
can send to the staff to check.
All right. Okay,
Okay,
that sounds great. I think that'd be good to check, compare the two, and then if there's some discrepancy to follow up. With
yeah,
each of them. I agree, Lee, then that would be a way of not just burdening them with one more thing to do.
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
So to
All right.
conclude this,
Yep.
can I suggest that Elaine and I work together on this? Elaine, you have all these notes that I'm not sure I recognize what they are. So
Okay,
Typical protocol is that Elaine and I would work on this, and then we could run it by you once before we finish it up.
okay,
All right. That's
Yeah,
what
that
we've done
sounds
with all
good.
the other things. I don't, I'm trying with all of these to, both Elaine and I are trying to be as consistent as possible.
and I think what we need to do is look at the rules
Mhm.
and see where these each could fit into the rules. These are too much for the articles unless we've designated
Oh,
changes
yeah.
to the articles.
Yeah.
So we need to just put in some rules about the staff.
Right, and we talked about, Elaine and I already
all of
talked about
these.
having to do that.
yeah,
And
there are a few items in here that probably need to be in the articles, like term limits or.
Right, I've got that.
Yes, we
Yeah.
got
okay.
some of them.
See,
But
here I've
most of the
got,
stuff, most of the stuff is intended to just, how do we function internally? I agree.
Right.
yeah,
That's how Yvonne and I viewed it.
so
Mhm.
we decided against this.
But we've already dealt with some of the presidency stuff before, and then we have this from today. All right, so we have just a few more minutes. So as I mentioned, Lynn will take the charge on the bulletin. Is there anyone in this group that would like to work with her that I could give, at least one or two other people? And then for our next meeting, which we need to discuss as well, come up with a draft of something for us to start to have a conversation. Does anybody want to work on the bulletin?
Steve, would you be willing to do that? Is Steve
Couple
here?
things. One, I'm not a very good writer, and two, my time is just,
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I.
Yeah, we don't,
Okay.
no, that's why we're asking for volunteers. We don't appoint. For
Yeah.
that reason.
okay, I want to ask you, see the screen, Article 8E here. It says the president is elected for 6 terms. We're talking about
6 years.
changing.
It had to change to 3 because nobody's going to be having a term longer than 3 anyway, so.
Right.
I think that the president and the council need to be in sync as far as the terms. So if it's
Mhm.
3
Yeah.
plus 3, it needs
Yes,
to be that way.
exactly,
And
yeah.
the same rule that was proposed, if somebody wants to be a president 2 times in a row, they can, but they have to make a pause after that. I think that the same rule should
Yeah,
be for all
Same.
3 branches
Mhm.
up the top.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, can we get back to that committee? Does anybody like to work with Lynn?
I just think that somebody who is good in writing has to be there.
I
Um,
keep thinking of Elaine doing this, but that's just one more thing on top of everything else. she has.
This is
I
kind
mean,
of like
I'll
a
help
deja
on the
vu.
bulletin. I'll help on the bulletin.
Okay. And
And I
Aaron.
think but,
How about this, Elaine? If you're busy and you can't do it, I'll participate instead of you. I'll be your switch type of a thing. I can't take that responsibility, but I can go if you
can
can't,
be- Okay,
like an alternative.
right. And what I'm saying is that I'm happy to be a volunteer to help with each bulletin, but I don't really want to be on this committee
How about
See-
Dave?
to create that format for it.
Yeah, what about David? David is a native speaker, so I'm sorry, my English
great
is not good
writer,
enough. So
well, and a good
I'm-
writer too. So David, are you okay with working with Lynn on this? And I've done a lot of like newslettery kinds of things for different organizations. So if need be, you could tap me as well if needed, but I'd like, other people to take the helm on this. David, are you there or hiding from us?
I am there, and I
Uh-oh, we lost you.
Muted by an accident.
There he is.
You're muted, David.
You're muted.
sorry, I'm apprehensive about taking on the responsibility of the bulletin. It's an enormous piece of work, and I think it's something that I do not wish to do. I'm happy to do some input with it.
David,
Lynn-
yeah.
if
this
Lynn
is
No,
wants
just
to
to
be
be
we're
on
not
the-
asking you to do the bulletin. We're just asking like somebody to look at like who's making the decisions and who should be making the decisions.
Set up
on
the
different
procedure.
Procedure.
Okay,
like how do you
procedural.
submit- Yeah, procedure, definitely procedure.
I'll go,
who can
if
man-
it's about procedures, I'll do it, so we have
Yeah,
a.
yeah.
Three,
Yeah, this
it's
is not
fine.
about actually doing the newsletter. That's not it. This is,
Just who
how does
proposes what goes
somebody,
in and how gets approved.
right, how it gets.
Yeah,
Correct.
That's
No,
fine.
that's a good idea. Yeah, that's fine.
So maybe you and Yvonne and David, then I'll tell Lynn. Does that sound good? That'd be great, I think, if you both can, and it's
Yeah.
totally procedural, who makes the decisions so that we don't have some bully pulpit sort of thing happening again, those sort of
Yeah.
basic things.
What does a bully pulpit mean?
Somebody gets
it-
up and says what they want to say, regardless of what, time restraints or editorial restraints.
Yes, it's not, there's no oversight.
Let's just do this. The comparison would be our former president. He's always on a bully pulpit. So let's see, where's our time? Lee?
I'm speaking to item number 4, further pending modifications to the articles. As you and Elaine know, I produced something that was just a suggestion, a draft or whatever, and it covered things that weren't in the articles. It got me started on it when I was working with Stephanie for a short while on the regions, and it had nothing to do with, it was related to the regions, but it had nothing to do with selecting the regions, although I had some proposals there. It had to do more with what we did discuss, which is like the election, how many years can you serve? And there were other things. I know you have a copy of it. I'd like to think that now that we're getting past the major portion of other things we're doing, that we might address some of those topics in a future meeting. Do you know which one I'm referring to?
Why don't you send it to us again? So we've got so many papers that have been flying back
Okay.
and forth,
I
just to
will
make
send
sure
it to
that
you
we have the
again.
right one. I vaguely remember that, but I think we were focusing on something else at the time.
Oh, yeah,
And so
you have suggested many times that we wait, and I think now's maybe the time to at least.
It
think
may
about
be,
this.
it just may be, Lee, and it would help us if you would send it again. Thank you.
Okay,
Just
I
send it
will,
again
and I will edit it up now that we've already got things like terms limits and so forth proposed.
We-
And if you are approve, I guess you approve, but I would like it to go to this committee or commission prior to the meeting so people can look it over. Just
We've
like,
been trying to do that. I don't think that that's been a problem, at least not
Okay.
lately, so.
okay,
And then, so I'll also ask Lynn to come up with at least a rough draft. We could have some conversation about regarding the bulletin next time. So those two would be our agenda items. Do you have those noted, Elaine, so we don't?
and I want to
Okay.
I would like to remind Monica and Elaine to find out a little bit more when you're involved with the council or the executive committee of whatever happened to the commission that was supposed to look at
Yeah,
reorganizing.
I've got a note
Wait,
for
that's
that.
already
I've got a
noted.
note for
It's been
that.
noted.
I just wanted to
Yeah.
remind you at the end of the meeting.
It's
Thank you.
noted, yeah,
I wrote it down.
okay.
Thank you.
Anything
I love
else
your
that's
attention.
pending or needs to be covered that we haven't covered so
Well-
far? Elaine?
Well, we have that pending document that I just want to go over
Oh, yes,
quickly.
okay, quickly. We've got about 5 minutes.
Yeah, because.
And if anyone could stay a little longer.
And I'd set up a
Um,
next meeting.
Right. Okay, these, I went through the articles. And I don't want you to go over these right now, but what I want to do is to say, let's tackle what we think are the most important of these. So this one is just about and this kind of falls into what we were just doing. And these are minor. It meets at least every second, that's small.
Mhm.
Organization. Somehow we have to get this secretariat out of there. And we had some conversation about this. So that the organizations, this is in an article and we don't have a secretariat. So we're out of policy here. And then this is just by who can commit the members of the executive or who can commit the council. These are, and this is something that we're doing right now. The executive is charged
Mhm,
with. I'm
mhm.
happy about that. And I would like to see us include a non-voting representative of UNESCO.
So should this be
Okay,
on the
here's
agenda
this.
for next time?
Yeah.
I actually
I-
reviewed this in detail, thinking that this is what we're gonna discuss. And to me personally, all the changes that Elaine proposed were fine.
I'm
they're
fine
no
with them too.
nonsense. They're really fine. There's
We-
some areas that are left blank that
Yeah.
that still
Yeah,
needs
so
to
we
be.
can we can look at
But
those.
the rest
How
of it
about
was
now?
just minor stuff, but really important stuff, and it made
Yeah.
sense. All of it.
So if everyone agrees, then we're good with any of the, if approved,
Proposed
it
changes.
will read
Yeah.
proposed changes. And then next time we only consider those few where it will read.
Or
And
if
then this
somebody
is
finds-
something, go ahead. I'm sorry,
if
Yvonne.
somebody in the meantime finds something that they think is a sticky point, they can bring it up before the meeting. Just send a note to Elaine and
A
Ann
week,
and say,
a week
"Hey,
ahead. Yeah, just a week ahead so we can make sure it's on this list. That's all we
You
need.
all received this document in your
Yes.
last attachment, so you should
Yes.
have it.
yes."
And then this one, it deals with something we talked about earlier. I think we need to put this on the agenda of how a council member is voted off. And this could include absent from 3 consecutive council meetings or whatever. But that's something I think we need to really look at.
Mhm, mhm.
Right, so
Maybe
if you
that
pull
can go
those
on
out,
our next
Is
agenda.
everybody, and
Yeah.
everybody's good with whatever's there already?
Yeah.
Then we'll just pull those and then those will be on the, also put
And
those.
then this is how to get rid of the president.
Yep, we're good with any of these changes. I think everybody's looked at.
Okay.
The
And that
one
has to
thing-
be,
The
Yeah.
one thing is about 3 consecutive. I would go based if they miss more than half the meetings in a year, however many they are, for the council members. Because 3 consecutive is tricky. You have 4 and you show to the last one just to be there. And then you're pretending really you're participating while you're not really participating. That gives them a little bit of a loophole. This is what you mentioned. So maybe rethink that in terms of how many meetings. If they
Okay.
they
All right.
skip more than half.
we'll bring
We
this
don't have
about
time
next
to-
year.
This will be.
Next time.
Meeting, we'll pull
Yeah.
these out. Everything else, I think we're all good on unless somebody says something at this point. I think we went through these
Yeah.
already. And so there's just a couple of those where we need to fill in the blank on the right side, and let's just look at those
Yeah.
next as well.
Okay.
Monica, last word.
Yeah, just one problematic thing, if you are vice president and UNESCO representative, you can vote as vice president, but you are voting also if you are willing to support UNESCO without compromise, and we have a bad situation. So it should
We
be
know that. I think we
not-
all know that.
not adding positions and power and votings in one person. So this is.
Right. We'll have that, and that's part of the conversation, but I think we all agree that that needs to be non-voting.
Can we do a sharing document from that so that we all can write in different colors our
Oh.
comments or that?
That's a great
That
idea.
you already have this document.
Yeah, but if we can share it in this group, so every one of us can write down, and you
So
don't
like a
have.
Google Doc or a
Yeah, okay. Google
Dropbox.
Oh, I
something.
don't know how to do that. Can I
I
send it?
think
to-
I can, maybe I could help you with the Dropbox if people have access to Dropbox.
Okay,
All right, we'll work
Great.
on that then, but let's first pull out, since we all feel strongly that the rest of it is done, as Yvonne has, told us we've already discussed a lot of these. Let's just pull those few that really need to have a conversation, and we can
Okay.
work on making it a doc that people can submit, and then we'll have a deadline, which is a week before the meeting, for us to have any comments.
okay.
Good?
Sounds good.
Right, we're
So
right on.
we
Elaine,
can look at
anything
the
else?
second Sunday in July. Does that sound good?
That's what was that the 9th or the 16th?
The 9th.
Is
Be
that
the
good?
9th.
Is that good for everybody?
Yep.
Point.
Yep.
All righty,
Okay,
yeah,
7/9, next meeting. Okay,
all right, right on time, we're good. Thanks, everyone.
yeah.
I
Anna,
would
can you
love
stick
to-
around for a second?
Yeah, I sure can, and I love how
Okay.
passionate everybody is about this.
I am too.
sorry we
Thanks
don't
so
have
much.
More, yeah, I can't tell you enough. And thanks for putting up with my picking and choosing who to speak to next. But I think this way we give, I was really working hard at making sure that council members and non-council members have equal say with the group. So thank you so much for your
Good.
patience with
I
me.
just wanted to mention one single thing. I really
What?
appreciate when Monica is here because she's the only executive member, so she belongs to all these
Yes,
and
Yeah.
can vouch for what we're doing.
her perspective is excellent. Thank you, Monica, for
thank you.
being here. David, thanks. I know both of
and
you are in a whole different time zone from us too. So it's a double thank you on my part for your participation. Very valuable what you have to say. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And thank you for chairing. I mean,
Oh, I could say it's my pleasure, but it's a challenge, but it's fun.
but
thank
it's
you so
good.
much.
It's just what we haven't been having on the council.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm sorry to hear you say that. Let me put it
It's
that way.
great.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm sorry to hear you say that. Anyway, thanks, everyone. Have a good summer, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes.
I think Lee had two things on.
I know he did.
Lee?
Lee, are you still there?
I think he probably walked away. Should we get out and me come back in again?
Wait a minute here.
Is there a way to? We could hide him, but he could probably still hear.